Hey, welcome everyone to Disha Learning, and we're going to look at the second part of strategic management. We had looked at the initial section where we looked at the different components of strategy, what strategy is, what is special. We had also looked in a separate video on what SWOT is, and going ahead, now we are going to look at specifically a tool called Porter's Five Forces. Now, Porter's Five Forces is basically a tool that is used to identify what kind of strategy you want to adopt. Porter's Five Forces was put together by Michael Porter, and it has been extensively used by organizations in the academia, etc. So it is an important tool for us to understand whenever we have to formulate a strategy. So this session will be all about Porter's Five Forces. Now, if you remember the first session, we had looked at how Mike wanted to start a business. So we have Mike here. Now, you remember that Mike wanted to start a travel business, and he wanted to go into providing travel solutions to professionals, and he would want to take them to very specific key areas where maybe staying with tribals and going to some interior parts in Africa, things like that. So now we had also looked at his mission, vision, objectives, etc. Now, how does Mike use Porter's Five Forces? Now, Mike's Travel Incorporated, if you remember, it is in the travel industry. Now let's look at travel industry. So Michael Porter says that for formulating strategy, you need to look at these five forces. Now, the five forces model is also used to identify the level of competition or rivalry within any industry. So here let's have Michael in the travel industry, and the four forces such as threat of new entrants, bargaining power of suppliers, threat of substitutes, bargaining power of customers, all of them affect this central force, which is the competition in the industry. Now, it is very important to estimate the competition in the industry, because if you don't have a good estimate, you are not going to formulate a good strategy in surviving and thriving in that industry. So let's take that travel industry. The Porter says that the competition in the industry is determined by four factors: threat of new entrants, bargaining power of suppliers, threat of substitutes, and bargaining power of customers. Now, if you look at travel industry, let's forget about Mike for a few seconds. So if you look at travel industry, how easy is it to start a business, a travel business? It's pretty easy, right? Anyone can set up a travel business. If you have a telephone and maybe you have a small office, you don't even sometimes need an office. You can easily get into this industry. So travel, you don't need a lot of investment. You don't need specific licenses. You don't need any special skill. So getting into the travel industry can be very easy. So that is why, if you look at it, the threat of new entrants is very high. So that makes this very competitive, because there are so many people who are entering this industry. Now let's look at the bargaining power of suppliers. Now, who are the suppliers to the travel industry? So you have airlines, you have hotels, maybe you have special resorts. So all these are suppliers to industry. Now, do the suppliers have bargaining power? In case, suppose you are in the travel industry, one airline refuses to offer you a special deal that you want, or a hotel, you could always go to some other hotel, right? Or a different airline. So there is no, the power lies with you, not with the supplier. So if they really want your business, they'll have to listen to you, because the competition is high for them. There will be somebody else who is willing to take up your project if they don't want to. So the bargaining power of suppliers are pretty low here. And threat of substitutes. In the travel industry, if you want to substitute travel, now threat of substitutes means, is there something else in some other industry which could fulfill the same need? For example, if somebody watches a video or goes for a movie or sees a documentary about the same area, is that good enough? No. So the threat of substitutes is pretty low. Alright. So there are not many substitutes in the industry. And then you have the bargaining power of customers. The bargaining power of customers in the travel industry is pretty high, right? So if you want to go for a tour and somebody is kind of pricey, you can always go to someone else. So as a customer, you have a greater option, or you have many more options when you are dealing with the travel industry. So because of these two specifically, the threat of new entrants, bargaining power of customers, the competition in the industry is kind of high. It is higher. Now, Mike wants to start a business in this industry. What do you suggest? What kind of strategy can he adopt so that he can also get in customers? According to Michael Porter, there are only two major strategies that can be adopted in a highly competitive industry. First one is called cost leadership, where you are undercutting or you are offering things at a much cheaper price and you are attracting all the customers to you. The second one, which is called differentiation, is where you offer something entirely unique that somebody else cannot offer, and that gets people to come to you. Now, if it's cost leadership, now Walmart has cost leadership. They are able to cut down their cost so much that people flock there. They sell in huge volumes and they make a lot of money there. Now, if you look at Apple, if you look at buying an iPhone, now there are a lot of the smartphone industry is saturated with phones of different companies: Lenovo, Micromax, Samsung. So you have a whole spread of companies offering smartphones, and each better than the other or similar. Now, how do you make a decision? Here is where Apple comes in with their iPhones. Now, iPhones are a class apart. The cost is very high. The kind of applications they offer is excellent. The range is very good. The quality is impeccable. Innovation is great. So they have managed to carve out a niche for themselves where they are able to charge huge amounts of money for in the industry where others are not able to do that because of their specific strategy, which is differentiation. So they are not just like anybody else. They are Apple has a phone that is entirely different, has a different operating system, has a different method of sales. Customers have different tastes, so that's an entire different niche. So when you look at Apple, you look at something called a strategy called differentiation, and when you look at Walmart, you look at something called cost leadership. Now here, Mike, if he has to survive in this industry, either he has to cut his costs down, but he's already into offering niche tours which others cannot offer, because as we talked about last time, he knows certain areas, he has access to certain people that would get him an advantage or provide a unique tour. Now, because he's able to do that, he would also go in for differentiation, and that allows him to charge whatever he wants and carve his own niche in the industry. So this is Porter's 5 forces, and mostly it is to understand what is the strategy that we need to adopt. This is again determined by the amount of rivalry in the industry. So once you decide that, the next set of questions that you would ask is that why would people choose you? What do you offer better than others, and how are you going to introduce your products and solutions? So this again is related to your strategy. So if you say that I want to go for cost leadership, what happens is that people will choose you because of your costs are much lower, and that would be the answer for the second one. And you would introduce your products and solutions in huge volumes, and you would sell in huge volumes, and that's how you would make money. If you go for differentiation, you would look at how unique you can be and how you can improve the quality and stand apart from others, and how are you going to position your specific service or product. A few terms that you need to also look at are: one is core competency. Now, core competency is basically that key skill or quality that your organization has that others find it hard to match up to. For Apple, it is innovation and quality. So for different companies, it's different things. Now, core competency allows you to gain a competitive advantage. That is, you can remain a step ahead of your competition by utilizing your specific core competency. Market strategy is what we looked at. There are two strategies that uh, that is basically cost leadership and differentiation, and based on a mix and match of these or specifically one strategy, companies introduce their products and solutions. So with that in place, we will look at the other aspects of management in the subsequent videos. So till then, goodbye and take care.